I really enjoy being a session musician because I just like the idea of just being able to play a bunch of different genres of music with a bunch of different people, and it just keeps things fresh and interesting for me. And you meet way more people that way, and you get to network, and all of that kind of stuff just helps to lead to more opportunities. One of the biggest parts of our job when you're doing that kind of thing is learning lots of music in a particular block of time. So preparing for shows, if you just have the one for that month, it's not so bad. But if they're overlapping, you got a couple of different things going on. I mean, after a while, you get good at it, but you need some sort of efficient way of learning a bunch of material at one time so that you can show up at these gigs and play them successfully. So this particular video isn't so much a how-to kind of thing. I'm just kind of sharing some ideas with you guys, letting you know how I handle the situations, how I prepare for shows, and just kind of walk you through the whole process. And maybe that'll give you some ideas for how you can do it. If you're starting to get a thick schedule coming up and you want to just kind of know how to prioritize things, maybe this video will help you out. So every job typically starts the same way. I'll get an email or a Facebook message from the artist who either got my name from somebody, or maybe we have a mutual friend, or it was a recommendation or whatever. And they'll ask me, are you available for these dates? And sometimes if that happens, like if I'm unfamiliar with the artist, I'll just Google them and I'll find out what they're all about. But if it looks cool to me and it fits in my schedule, then I'll say yes, and then it all kind of starts from there. A couple of days later, I'll get a follow-up email with a link to either a Dropbox folder or Google Drive folder or whatever with all the songs in it. And then and that's where the process begins. So I pretty much handled every situation the same way. It's in 3 steps. So the first thing that I do, open up the folder and I'll take a listen to all of the songs. I'm just kind of skimming through them just to get a feel for the material. And what I'm trying to do is just sort of get a feel for the degree of difficulty for the song. So I'm listening out for any kind of intricate details that I'm going to have to pay attention to later. And if I have multiple things going on at the same time, if I have overlapping gigs, doing this kind of helps me to prioritize that. So whether it's a relatively simple gig that I can just easily chart out, or if it's something that's going to require a lot more of my time. Second step will be the actual listening and learning part of it. So I'll lock myself in the office. I'll set aside a day or a certain time on a certain day. And I'll just sit in my office and I'll go through each one of the songs. And this is when I start making all of my notes. If the songs also included charts, then I'll sit there, and as I'm listening to the songs, I'm looking at the charts and I'm just kind of making my own little notes, sort of modifying the chart a little bit just so it'll help me understand what's going on a little bit more. And I'm really just trying to get a feel for each one of the sections, what I'm going to play here, what I have to play here, that kind of thing. Just the details I'm trying to work out. If the songs didn't come with charts, then I have my own sort of little method of mapping out arrangements so that I understand them. And it's sort of just a little system that I kind of made up for myself that I call quick form. And it's just a way for me to map out an entire song, within a couple of minutes, to just sort of help me to know where to go. So the whole thing is based on the arrangements, number of bars in each section. And, I just sort of make little notes as far as how to handle each section. And it just kind of helps me to play through the song successfully. Then step 3, of course, is the actual physical practicing of the song. So once I get them all noted up and mapped out and charted out or whatever. Then I'll bring them all down here, play them on this little thing here. I got my ears in, and then I'll physically practice all of the songs just to get familiar with everything that I need to get familiar with. Now, I'm not a strong reader, much at all. I have a very basic understanding of reading. It's only now, these days, that I'm really trying to sharpen up that knife. But for the most part, I'm not that strong of a reader. Some might see that as a hindrance. I don't, because in the types of jobs that I get hired for, it really just comes down to knowing the material come showtime. So because I'm not a strong reader, I tend to overcompensate. And as a result, I have everything up here by the first rehearsal. Because that's how I've done things for so long, I've kind of developed this sort of freakish memory where I can memorize a substantial amount of material and show up to the gig not having to read or do anything. I can just sort of enjoy the moment, which for me is important. So I mean, even if I could read and I was a strong reader, I would probably still prefer to memorize everything. Now, you don't always have the luxury of being able to do that, you know, as a session guy, especially if you have overlapping gigs and there's just far too much material for you to cram into your head in that particular space of time. In those situations, yeah, you have to at least be good at making your own notes. So if you have your own little system that you can make up for mapping out songs, or if you're familiar with the Nashville number system, which is pretty easy to follow along, or if you're really proficient at making charts, that's all, you know, that's all your call. It's up to you. As long as you're prepared come showtime, that's what really counts. So, let me just give you a couple of tips, some things that'll hopefully help you out while you're preparing for your next job. Number one, while you're taking notes and while you're learning these songs, be as detailed as possible. So that means any information regarding intros, outros, breaks, and most importantly, always mark down your tempos. If you don't already have one on your phone, just go to the App Store, if you have an iPhone or an Android or whatever, and just download any one of those free tap tempo apps. And while you're listening to the songs, just tap out the tempo and make note of it. You don't even really have to be super spot on. As long as you're within 1 or 2 BPM, you're fine. But tempo is important. And the reason that is because sometimes singers are really particular about their tempos because they might have songs that are super wordy. And if the song is too fast for them, it's hard for them to breathe and get all of their words out. So tempo is pretty important for a lot of singers because it needs to sit in a certain pocket. So whether you're asked to or not, man, just assume that you're expected to show up to the first rehearsal knowing all of the tempos for all of the songs. Number two, again, if you don't already have one, go to the App Store and buy, don't look for a free one, buy a really, really good live metronome app. I use one called Tempo. Tempo is awesome. I can't remember how much it was. I mean, it might be $5 in the App Store or something. But it's really, really cool. I mean, you can arrange it's super easy to program. You can arrange your songs in order. You can change order on the fly. The tempos are super accurate. All of that kind of stuff. Put your set list on there and bring it to the rehearsal. Okay, it just makes things a lot easier. And I can guarantee you, man, 96% of the time, at some point in the rehearsal, the singer's probably going to turn around and ask you what tempo is this song. Because they don't always know. And again, being a drummer, man, you're expected to know this walking into it. Third tip I have for you is don't be afraid to take a little bit of initiative and assume the responsibility for counting all the songs off, okay? You can't be the timid dude that shows up, you know what I mean? Being the drummer, you're driving the bus. So it's your job, unless you're told otherwise, just assume that you're gonna count everything off and make sure that you're doing it with that certain degree of confidence. That's basically just gonna let them know that everything's gonna be all right. You're not stepping out of line or overstepping anyone's bounds by doing so. You're the drummer. So it's okay if you just, go ahead and just take that initiative and just count all of the songs off, or at least ask them, how do you want to start this? Do you want time off the top, for instance? So if one of the songs is being started, say on a piano, if there's a piano lick opening a song, ask them, do you want time off the top? Do you want to take it yourself? 50-50. Sometimes they'll say, if you don't mind, just give me a little bit of time because I don't want to start it too slow or too fast. That kind of stuff, man. All of that is just the professional part of your job, and it's stuff that you should know and you're just expected to know. Tip number 4, and this is this is an important one that I try to do in any situation whenever I can. But at some point, I always try to run the entire set while I'm down here, at least twice, 2 or 3 times, even 4 times if you can. It depends on what it is. If I'm doing a theater production, I'll run that entire show down here 3 or 4 times before the first rehearsal. Doing that kind of thing just kind of over prepares you for the gig. And by the time you show up, everything's up here. You're totally 100% comfortable with the material because you've practiced your count-ins, all of the intricate details in each one of the songs, the order of the songs, like all of that stuff you're familiar with. So there shouldn't be any hiccups by the time you get on the stage. But yeah, whenever I can, I'll run through the entire set, a couple of times. One last tip that I want to give you guys that I really think is the most important, and this has a lot more to do with just being a session guy in general. This is not an easy profession. And there are only 2 things that are going to keep you in this game. And that's your character and your reputation. Your character, man, it's really all you got out here. You know what I mean? If you have a reputation for being a complete jerk to work with, it doesn't matter how great of a musician you are because nobody's going to want to work with you. If people know you for always showing up prepared, always showing up to the first rehearsal on time, all of that kind of stuff, man, these are the kind of things that help you get rehired. So that's basically the crux of it, man. Be professional. Don't be a jerk. Continue to work on your skill set so you can go out there and nail it every single time. And those 3 things should help you stay on the first call list. Any other professional working drummers out there want to leave a comment below, add to the conversation, go ahead and do it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. See you next video.